So good morning, all of you. So let me
Good
start
morning,
the
sir.
yes. So let me start our first step: how to start the programming language, or how to put your first step in the programming language. Okay. So before we get into this new area like a programming or the language or write some programs, we just go through a brief history that how the things has evolved, how programming language or C programming language is evolved. So basically it was started in 1960. So the main objective or the main demand at that time is something like that. So there were hardwares. So hardwares like microprocessors and microcontrollers, they were developed. So the thing is that those hardwares are very low level interactions. Means if I want to instruct a hardware like microprocessor, so I have to translate my arithmetic into very low level type of scenario. I will show you one example. What is the meaning of low level and what is the meaning of high level? So the simple thing is that if I want to add two numbers, then I have to it is not the just writing a plus b or 5 plus 10. It is basically I have to write a sequence of very primitive instructions such that it can be executed over a microprocessor or microcontroller. So though we have those devices, though the devices were available, but it is very difficult to control or to execute or to do some work on these devices. Okay, so so people are trying, or people are thinking that how do they make things efficient? How do they they make the use of those hardwares efficient? So at the same time, they were thinking that they why they do not have or why they don't design a interpreter type of scenario such that they will write some things in a little bit convenient way. Then the interpreter will translate the statement to a low level statement, and that could be executed by the hardware. So some of you may have heard about the punch card. So punch card is basically one type of such things. Means the thing is that people first write some instructions on a machine like a typewriter. Then typewriter, it is not just a typewriter. It will punch on a paper card. So they will make some holes on the paper card, and then these paper cards are inserted into a machine. Then machine will read this paper card and paper cards, and that will execute it. So sometimes you may find in some museums or somewhere there are some square type of or rectangular type of small paper cards, and there are different types of holes on that thing. So that is very cumbersome. Means writing a program on the paper card is very difficult for the programmer, and it is also a very difficult thing for the debugging part. Means if there is some error, or if I write a program and you have to interpret the program, then it is everything is very difficult. So writing is difficult, and it is even more difficult to read these things from the paper card. Okay. So then people are thinking that why don't we have some sort of mechanism such that I can write with my cognizant, and there should be a software, there should be a interpreter that will translate these things into a form of a machine which can understand. Okay. So with this objective, the objective is very clear. Means hardwares were there. Hardware has a finite instruction. Hardware cannot execute any infinite number of instructions. The hardware can execute a finite number of instructions, and we have a problem which includes different types of instructions. So I have to divide my problem, or I have to granule my problem into small instructions, and that I have to feed into the hardware. And who will do these things? If I have to do these things, then my thinking to solve the problem will be gone. My thinking will be how to translate the statement into a smaller part. That will be the main concern for the program, and that was the big difference. So solving a problem and solving or translating a statement into small fragments, that is a very different things. Understand? Okay. So I'll show you one example how it was there. It was scenario, and with that objective, the first programming language was developed, which is called Algo. Algo was developed in 1960, and the basic objective was just to make a step into the programming environment. Then it is sometimes we call these things a higher version of the machine language or mnemonic language, but still Algo is not very much comfortable. They are not. That was not very good for writing a big programs. Clear? Then after some times, what is the famous man which is called Richard, he developed a higher versions of these things, which is called the BCPL. BCPL stands for the Basic Combined Programming Language. So this programming language is basically this programming language is developed to design the operating systems. Means you understand what do we mean by operating systems? The operating system means that over the hardware there is a kernel, or there is a set of programs which will interact the machine, or which will interact your computer and the human. So I am interacting my machine through a operating systems. Whatever I am writing, like copy is my instructions. So copy a file from directory 1 to directory 2. So this I can do with some clicks and using the mouse. But what is happening? So my operations on the screen is not directly executed in the machine. So my operations are read by the machine. Then it is transferred, or it is translated into a low-level programs, and then these low-level programs are executed by the machine. So from my side and the machine, there is a difference. There is a different steps, and that steps will do these things. There is a system which is called the operating system, and developing operating systems, it was required to have a language. Means I need a high-level language, a little bit comfortable language. Using that things, I can write an operating system. And the basic objective of writing this or developing this BCPL is to design a particular operating system. Okay? Then another version came, which was named by the alphabet of B. So B programming language was introduced in 1970, and which is another step towards the high-level programming language. Okay. Then there is a huge difference. Means there is a huge what I can say, huge development in the scenario. There was a system which is called PDP-11. PDP-11 was a system, operating system, which was developed in the Bell Laboratory, and that is the mother system of any Unix type of operating systems, like Unix, GNU, or Linux, or Ubuntu. So this PDP is basically the kernel of all these things. Okay? And PDP is a cross-platform operating system. So it was used in the different types of machines, like PC, or even the routers. They are using these types of PDP. And when they are developing this PDP, then there was a more higher level of language was also parallelly developed, and that higher language was named as the alphabet of C. Clear? So C programming language is not just a fun; it was just a demand. So the programming language, the development of the programming language is basically the demand, that how to develop operating systems, I need a programming language, and with that demand, the development of the operating systems and the development of the programming language were parallel event. Okay? So in the 1973, means the first version of the C was developed, And that presently the system which are presently the C language which we are using, it was not like that thing. So it was basically a kernel for writing the C programming language. Okay, so some in many books or in many literature you will find that C is written in C. So sometimes it was like a recursive statement. So the programming language C is itself written in the C programming language. Okay, so why it is stated like that? So it is something like that. A small kernel, a small part of the whole programming language was developed in 1973, and using that small set of instructions in C, the another higher versions or another enhancement of the programming language was built. So the requirement was to design a Unix operating system. Of facilities or a small part of the C programming language was developed. And then it was the famous 2%, which is called as Kernighan and Ricci, and they basically then enhanced the kernel, and then the C programming language came into the scenario. Okay. So up to 1978, so this is the birth of the C programming language, and the famous fathers of the C programming language are Kernighan and Ricci. So Kernighan and Richard. So Richard, he started the project in 1967, and then finally after around 10 years, it came into a final shape. So the C programming language came into the domain, and with that things, after it was evolved, so there are so many development has happened. So in the Bell laboratory, ATN laboratory, there was a Sun Unix operating system was developed. Then Sun Microsystems was developed. System B was also developed. So all these things are basically based on the C programming language. Okay. Then subsequently there were different types of standardizations. The first standardizations was made by ANSYS, American National Standard Institutes, and then there are so many standardizations. So what we are now using, there are two types of standardizations. One is the ANSYS C, and there is another C, I forgot the name, but mostly we are basically using two standard versions of the C programming language. Okay. So what is the go through of this path is basically the requirement. So I need a operating systems. So how can I build operating systems? Operating system is not the hardware. It is not the circuits. It is basically program. So I have to design a program. And how can I have to design a program? Unless I don't have a facilities to write high level thinking and translate these things into low level thinking. Clear? So to understand this, what do you mean the high level and the low level? Let's just try to get into the scenario that how your computer or how a machine or how simply a processor is working. So let me just brief that how a processor is working or your computer is working. So we take a simple architecture of a processor. So we have a this is called the CPU or central processing. Don't confuse with the term. CPU is now we call this as a central processing unit. So the function of the CPU is to execute some instructions. So the instructions are very primitive instructions. So sometimes I can only perform an add operation. So this add operation can only perform two arguments. It takes say A and B. Clear? So I cannot perform A plus B plus C. So this is the primitive instruction. I can only perform two number addition. Okay? And how these numbers will be taken here. So there are registers. So say they say we consider only two registers. So one is called A and another is called B. Okay. So all the data will be in the registers. So there will be say 5, there will be 10, and then I have a list of instructions, and one of the instruction is add. That means it will take the value from the registers, it will perform the operations, and it will store the results to the accumulator. So one of the register is called the accumulator, which will capture the output of any primitive instruction like add, subtract, multiply, or even there are so many there are finite set of instructions. So the thing is that there may be one or two arguments. The arguments get into a process, and then the output will be stored in a register which is called the accumulator. Okay, and then so this is the simple structure of the microprocessor type of or microcontroller type of scenario. So in the abstract way, we say that you are basically an operator. You can do only a finite number of operations. Then there are two counters. So one counter you will get one argument, means one value, and another counter you are getting another value. You just take the values, you perform the operations and put the results into one of the counters. Okay? And then next instructions is given to you. Again, you collect the value from the counters, you do the operations and put the value into a counter. Okay? So I am doing these things. One instruction is given to me. I am taking these two values. I perform some things and I put the results here. Then another instruction is given to me. Again, I am taking the values from the counters. I perform here and I put the results into these things. Okay? Understand? So in this way, the computer works. Then the thing is that how these instructions are given to the computer. So there is a memory. Okay, and this memory is a storage. So in this storage, you store the instructions. Say INS1, INS2, INS3 in this. And how this central processing unit will read this instruction. In this,
some students probably raising hands. Sambodha Chetan Naik, are you asking some question?
No, sir.
Hello? Yeah?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yes. Oh, so why are you clicked on raise hands? I mean, it is misleading. Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Okay,
Sorry, sir.
Mujahid, please continue.
Sorry, sir.
So now how this? So in the memory, you have to store this instruction. So I have a book. So some instruction, or I have a copy. Some instruction is written there. Okay, and now the thing is that there is a program counter in this central processing unit. There is a program counter, and this program counter is initiated with the starting address. So say this address is say 1000, and then it is initiated with the starting address of the page where the first instruction of your program is there. Okay, so now it is executed. So what it does, it says PC means program counter will read the instruction from the address 100. Then it interpret the instructions. It may be a add. That means the CPU or the central processing unit will take the argument from A, B, executes and write the results back to the register A. Then next may be a sub. Then it will take the value from the A and B, execute the subtraction, and then write back the instruction to the accumulator or the register A. Understand? So in this way, if in my high level programming, if I have write these things, say 30 in this way, then how many executions or how many operations the CPU has to perform is basically I have to add these things, store the results into the accumulator, then I have to add this one, store the result into the accumulator, then this one, and in this way it will execute. Understand? So there are, for example, we don't have exponent operation in this instruction set. So there is no exp operation in the instruction set. So then how can I perform 5 to the power 3? I have to basically perform 3 or 2 multiplication operation to get 5 to the power 3. Understand? Okay. So one simple example I can show you to get more details into the part. So this is a operations, or this is just I want to make 5 plus 10 operations, means 15. I have to compute the addition of 5 and 10. Okay. So what do I have to do? So there are so this is the program. The program says that at the memory location 200, I have already stored a value of 5. In the memory location 201, I have already stored the value of 10. Okay. So this is the memory, and the memory location 5, I have stored the value of 5. Memory location 200, I stored the value 5. Memory location of 201, I stored the value of 10. Yeah. So then this is the instructions. The instructions are starting from memory location of 1000. Here it says that LDA means load the value from the address. Okay. So what it loads? It loads the value at the address of 200. That value is basically 5. So it loads the value into the accumulator. Understand? So LDA means load the value from the address to the accumulator. Okay. So now program counter is initiated with 100. So it reads these instructions, it interpret, and then it function something like this. Sorry, it functions something like this. So the first instruction is read. So program counter is incremented to the next instruction 1003, and the result is that memory location 2000 contains the value of 5, that is now copied into the accumulator. Understand? Okay. Then the second operation says that move the register value or the accumulator value A to the register B. So it says that move A, B. So the source is A, the destination is B. Okay. Now when it executes, it moves the value from A to B. Accumulator contains the previous value. The memory location also contains the past value. Okay. So then again program counter incremented by the next instructions. Again there is a LDA 1001. That means you load the value at the memory location 2001 to the accumulator. Now it will load the value of 10 from the memory location 2001 in the accumulator. Understand? And then there is an add instruction. The add instruction does the addition with the accumulator. So there is a register B, and by default the first argument is the register 1. So now it executes the operations addition of A and accumulator at the register B. Clear? And so this is basically the 4 instructions or 4 steps what I have written in the low level language, and the function is that it is equivalent in writing 5 plus 10 in the high level language. Understand? Okay. So if I am a programmer, so and I have not facilitated with a high level programming language, then performing a simple addition, I have to translate these things into very cumbersome statements, and then in a proper sequence, and then I have to feed these things into the machine. Understand? So this cumbersome job is taken care by the programming language. So programming language gives me the facilities to write the statement in form of 5 plus 10 instead of writing all these things. Okay. And then it is even not interpreted or executed by the machine. This language, this LDA 2000, etc., is even not interpreted by the machine. So the machine, so there is a coding, means there is a, this is called the M mnemonic or machine language or assembly language. And then assembly language is converted into machine codes, and these machine codes are executed by the machine. So machine cannot execute like LDA 2000. Yeah. So there is a one-to-one translation. So this code will be translated into 3 bytes, which has written in something same color. Then the move BA is written in this black color, and again LDA is written encoded in this color. In this way, this is even more difficult to translate the assembly language to a machine language. Okay. So the thing, now you just imagine that if you have to write a program in this form, then how difficult it would be. So nobody will be comfortable to write a program like 100, etc., etc. And even there is a simple mistake, then everything is mess up. Yeah. So I need a environment where I can write my arithmetics or my computations in a form of like how I recognize or how I can interpret the things. But machine needs things which machine can understand. So this one is understood by the machine. This one is understood by me. Yeah. And in between, there is a language. Or so I feed my statement to the language or this programming environment. He will convert these things into a machine language, and then this machine language is fed into the memory and it will be executed. Okay. So these